Well, this is actually day 4 of our trip out to Arizona. Just making a quick dash out to Arizona to check out some properties, to enjoy some scenery and a little bit of time off. If you've seen our other videos, then you know that we are planning to go off-grid, and thought no better place to do that than out in Arizona. Of course, we're still weighing some other options, but this is where we would like to be. We really love the desert landscape and just the beautiful scenery that we have seen already thus far. So we stayed last night in Flagstaff, Arizona, but we're coming into Ash Fork now. We're going to be meeting with Bryan. He is our real estate agent for over here on the west side of Arizona. Well, I tell you what, he's got a real uphill battle, because yesterday we had just a wonderful time looking at the St. John's area over there on the east side of Arizona. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining with us today as we travel around and check out some properties. And I know there's some, from the pictures, there's some really beautiful stuff. So it's going to be another great day, I have no doubt. So come on along, we're going to have fun. All right, we are here. We are in Ash Fork. We're at the real estate agent's office here. This is it. This is the little bitty town of Ash Fork. That's the real estate agent office there. Boy, what a beautiful day we're having. The temperatures are just excellent. All right, we are here at Jake's Old West Properties. This is Bryan, and he is going to be showing us around to some properties here. Looking forward to seeing some small ranches, right?
Yes, correct.
And so, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How long you been doing this?
About 22 years. It's probably one of the best moves I ever made, getting out of a big city to a small town country living.
Great.
I love it up here. You know, it's a lot slower pace.
Right.
It's nice 4-season climate up here. Mild winters, cool summers.
Yeah.
A lot of history. We'll see an old 1908 rock cabin out here at the beginning of Westwood Ranch that was, at the time, was a family pig farm, and was built out of, you see all this rock around, flagstone, big business up here. And,
right.
They mine a lot of it out of the national forest. You can see up on those mountains, or that's national forest, and you can see where they've been mining that. Dozens of trucks there every day in and out of here hauling that rock, but a lot of the old pioneer homes and cabins were built with that rock, and it's still standing today over a century later.
Wow.
This cabin we'll see predates statehood. The roof at the time were timbers, you know, and those have long since fallen in, but the walls itself are still intact. And there's historical markers. Over the years, I've found a lot of Native American. I found pottery shards, arrowheads. And there's a couple of old turn-of-the-century homestead remains. It's still standing out here. Unfortunately, as time goes by and more people move, and those things are starting to disappear. One place, in fact, was a late 1800s homestead, and we're hoping to preserve it, but somebody bought the property and ran a bulldozer through it, so the history kind of went out the window.
That's disappointing.
Very disappointing. You can't replace history. It's still kind of the old west. The cowboys, it's all open range cattle country. They still do roundups on horseback with their dogs. You think you step back in time when you see, you know, that kind of activity. And a lot of people come out here and love it all over the country. We've got transplants from everywhere in the country, including, you know, overseas in Europe, and recently sold some property to somebody from Germany. And we did have a home out here that was a couple from Scotland, and he was a big John Wayne and a cowboy fan. He's came out, first thing he did was buy cowboy boots and a hat, and he wound up taking cases of them back to his town in Scotland, and he turned everybody into cowboys over there. That's really neat.
How about that?
Yeah, it's we got all from all walks of life. It's a beautiful country. You can see off in the distance, see the mountain ranges. That's Westwood Ranch where we'll be heading to. There's 2 mountain ranges on the ranch, actually, and as we mentioned earlier, about almost 1,000-foot difference in elevation, and trees get a little bit bigger, a little more view, a lot more wildlife. Most of the time we see more wildlife than people.
Wow.
Which is great. And I mean,
Yes, that is nice.
we want to see people. We'll just go to the city. We'll see all we want. But out here we've got deer, elk, antelope, turkey, javelina, all kinds of rabbits, and it's beautiful backcountry, unspoiled Arizona. And I think that's why a lot of people want to move out this way, because it's still somewhat unspoiled. Unspoiled backcountry wilderness, and the kind of the new movement, not new, but since about the last recession, 2008 opened up a new avenue of buyers, which we hadn't seen a whole lot of before. It used to always be the weekend retreat, summer cabin type crowd, and now it's kind of turned into the self-sufficiency pioneer prepper crowd, if you will.
Right.
And it's a great idea, actually. I think our ancestors, pioneers, lived out here kind of off-grid, and that's been the new thing. A lot of people looking for off-grid living. I'd say 80% of our vacant land sales are that clientele, that crowd.
Right. And I understand too that in Arizona only about 17% of Arizona is private land, right?
Yes, it's actually more about 15.7 versus states like Texas where 90% is privately owned. But yeah, only less than 16% is privately owned in Arizona. And of that, recreational land, like we're going to see today, is only 1%. So somewhat limited. The majority of that private land are residential, the homes in the cities. But another reason you see properties in Arizona with the tall pine, the ponderosa, is very pricey. For the fact that the majority of it here in the state that's around, we do have a huge, actually the world's largest contiguous ponderosa pine forest, and extends halfway across the state.
Wow.
Starting just east of us up here by Williams and on through Flag and into the Mogollon Rim country. And that is, but the majority of it is federal, state, and tribal. So very little privately owned tall ponderosa pine in Arizona, which supply and demand creates a lot higher prices.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that coming through Flagstaff.
Yeah, all up through that area, and that's something a lot of people don't know, that it's not the country's, it's the world's largest contiguous, that it spans halfway across the state, and it's a wonderful state. I love Arizona. I've lived here the majority of my life, and I'll die here. I'll never move.
Right.
We have every climate, every type of terrain, from the desert and the saguaro cactus to the tall pines and aspen trees. And a lot of people that have never been to Arizona, they have this misconception that it's rattlesnake country and cactus and all desert. And we have some beautiful high country up here, and which is where we're at. And right in this, up to about the 5,000 foot elevation, we're kind of high desert. And at 7,000 feet, where Flagstaff is at, is into the tall pines, but you get into a little harder snow and cold country. So the 5,000 to 6,000 range is an ideal climate. That's 4 seasons.
So this is an old historic building built by hand, still standing except for the old rafters and roof. That old fireplace. Very cool. All original construction. All built by hand. How many years ago?
1908.
1908.
Predates statehood.
have seen 3 very nice properties, one of which we're very, very interested in. We've got some information on it. Brian, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
You did a wonderful job showing us around. I really, really appreciate all that you've done for us today. And it was a great time. So we've got something to think about. We've got a lot to reflect upon here and go over and decide what we're going to do. That one property on that side of the, man, all those rocks, it was just absolutely beautiful. And those pinyon pines, the views, those trees, it was just spectacular. A lot going for it, absolutely. And some really good terms. And I'm telling you, I mean, if you guys or anybody's interested in purchasing some property to get off grid, they've got some wonderful programs. Financing is really easy. Pretty much anybody can.
No qualifying, no
qualifying
penalties. So yeah, very simple.
We'll post up the website for Jake's and put your number in the comments down below. All right. Well, have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.